Alright, welcome to another episode of Let's Optimize Chip Challenge. Today I'm going to be working on one of Andrew Menzies' levels from the other 100 tiles. I hope I didn't butcher your last name. I've heard that last name said weirdly. This is Encased in Carbonite, which can be found in level 7 of the other 100 tiles. So, what I've done here is I've already taken the liberty of setting up my editor the way I usually do. We have a completely unedited copy. We have a test version of the level in case I want to mess with it here. And we have an edited version, which as you can see, the only difference is I've marked all the places in this lower room where monsters can go. This makes it a little easier for me to see where things go. Here, actually, one other thing I didn't realize, is that I can do the same for monsters here, because they're functionally walls on this upper version. That goes there. Now, what else does this mean? This means that this section is functionally useless to me, and this section is functionally useless to me, because there's no way to interrupt the monsters. So this is essentially just creating a new representation of the level that has all of the same properties as the original level, but is a lot easier for me to look at and figure out what's important. So if I'm correct, everything down here is obtainable. So if I hit count, it should still say 50, because there are, as you can see, 54 chips, and the level has 50. So with that being done, it's a matter of figuring out a route through these chips and doing this upper section in such a way to avoid having to wait for monsters down here. This is going to be a little difficult, so I'm going to keep working on my representation by removing any tiles that there's absolutely no reason to ever step on. Again, this is just making my life a little easier later. Oops. So one thing that immediately pops out is that over here we're going to want to probably take this path. This is a 2-move detour. This would be 3. So once I'm done with this, I'm probably going to import this into paint.net and start drawing a path on it. So down here is where things get interesting, because we need to get all of these chips. And as you can see from the original version, this path is blocked off, so we have to make this loop. So we have to come up here and get this. And we're probably going to want to do that immediately. So I'm thinking that we're going to come down through here. Go do ding ding ding. Ding ding ding. I think that's what we want to do. And then we'd teleport left. So, because up would bring us to here, which is 2 moves slower than going to here. And then it's just a matter of figuring out. I'm pretty sure we want to end on that chip. I could be mistaken. It could be worth ending somewhere down here, or on this one. This one's less of a detour, so I think we want to find a route that ends here. So essentially, what this level has now boiled down to is figure out when to deal with this section on the left, figure out the best way of dealing with these 2 clusters of 8 chips, get the blue key, figure out what to get along the way. For example, do we want to get these chips now or wait until we have the green key? I think we want to wait until we have the green key. So I'm pretty sure what we're going to want to do is slip in here, probably do a cut like that, get down here. Now this left section does worry me somewhat, as it's a long detouring path. Okay, so my current route that I want to test is going here, here. We'll ignore this section because we could do this part at the start. We can do this part on emerging from the blue lock. Actually, no. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to have to note is that the best time to do this, to get this chip, is right at the start. We're never going to be any closer to it, which implies that we'd go like this. And that is the start of a route. So this chip can only be gotten through there. So we're going to switch over to Tile World. I said to Tile World. I said to Tile World. And I'm going to give this an attempt. So as you can see, I have played this level before. I streamed a full playthrough of this set a while ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this one a test. So I want to see what kinds of cycles I get, because that is one thing that you can look at an editor all you want. Okay, getting that chip early was a mistake. Like, you can look at an editor all you want, but for a level with a lot of moving parts like this, there's just no substitute for actually playing the level in question. Oh, wait, no, we want to go up here. So I've wasted 2, but I'd had to wait 2 for this ball anyway. Alright, that's a big wait that can be avoided. Oh, wait, no! Okay, so, important thing to note about that lower ball. What's the cycle I get if I go down here immediately? That's a forced wait. So, one thing I realize is that, say, with that detour, there's a way of getting this without having as big of a wait. That's going to be a 4-move wait if we have to slip in at that point. Oops. And we're dead as a result of that. So I'm going to start by doing this, this. Can slip in here. 1-move wait on the way out.
Bummer.
Oops. The only reason I'm doing any pausing is to make sure I gauge cycles correctly. Oh, what happens if I... Okay. So, a lot of what I'm noticing about cycles is something that's very hard to explain, but I'm going to try. So what I noticed was that if I take this chip, go up like so, I can almost slip in there. And if I can slip in there, I can cut out a lot of waiting time. So what that leads me to believe is that I need a different approach to the start. This gets me the same cycle I just got. Which requires a whopping 10 moves of waiting. That's not good. So there's definitely going to be something clever I can do about this start. And I'm pretty confident that what I need to do is, no, what I need to do is get this kind of cycle. Because that is no waiting. None at all. So I'm going to go back to trying to... No, let's try and go up first. So we have to wait 1 for that first ball.
Bummer.
No. Okay, going up first I don't think is going to be correct. Unless we go like so. We already have that chip. 3 moves. Yeah, I don't think going up first is correct because there's a lot of waiting. But relative to what there could be. But I could easily be mistaken. No. No way. There's no way. One thing that I did wrong just there was this chip could have been taken at... Oh, no, I'd already collected that chip. So, again, I have to come back to what I'm thinking here. And what I'm thinking is I want to go left first, because this was my initial thought. And we'll see what this does route-wise for the remainder. So we come through here, get this stuff. 2. Big weight. Better. Okay, so I haven't really worked on this side of the level yet. That's a better order. I'm thinking this through as I go. I have not looked up the bold time for this level yet. Okay, no, I do need to get all of these chips on this trip, which is very simple to consider. Oops. Simple to consider, but not to do. So I think what I should have done was already routed this part. Yeah, okay, that was very bad. Go up here. So that's a 209. 209 is a start. I'm pretty sure this can drop to something like 226. That sounds about right. So I'm just making a quick detour over to PyGuy's site, which I should have already checked. And the bold here is 211. 211? That can't be right. Yeah, JB has a 211 and I have a 209. I swear I lost more than that. Maybe the fireballs equalized quite a bit. So I was dumb with my route for the upper section. So before we go any farther with this, I'm going to go back over to my editor window. We're going to take this already edited version. We're going to copy the top half of the level, make a new level, put chip here, put socket there, put exit under it. I can go invalid if it makes my life easier. Count the chips, of which there are 23 as expected, and my default time limit of 100. Test. So this is level 4. This is the level I just created to test various routes here. Where's OBS? There's OBS. We don't need that. So, at this point, what I want to do is just figure out the best approach of getting these chips up here. Because this is going to be constant every time. Doing a quick scan of the level, and a couple parts are jumping out at me as kind of strange. So I'm going to start by going to the right. Now, these ones are going to be worth taking then. You're already worth grabbing. You're worth grabbing. Get you, deal with the shuriken formation. Alright, I think this feels optimal. It may not be, but this feels good enough to go looking for that 211, or maybe even beyond. Wouldn't that be funny if I broke a record here? Alright, so that's a 69.8. So 0.6. So any improvements I would get on this would be, due to the nature of the structure, it would save me 2 moves, which would be enough for the timer to become 70. When I make these levels, I generally do try to line it up so that an improvement will get me another second and not just more moves on the same second, so that it's more immediately obvious that I've found an improvement of some sort. Okay, so what I could do is I could take the chips in the exact opposite order of what I just did, but that doesn't strike me as a smart plan, to be honest. So the shuriken formation is the interesting bit here. This down here. Because what I was thinking I could maybe do would be something like that. But I don't think this is going to be fast. I'm going to try it, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be like a 67. And if this is slower, I can't see any other options. I'm looking at the editor on the side here. Yeah, that would save 2, but I don't think the rest of this is worth it. But I'm testing, because you never know. There's some really weird chip collecting paths that end up being faster sometimes. Or equivalent, just look at launch. Okay, no, that was a 69.8. Or sorry, 68.8. That is 4 moves slower. So that only lost 4 moves. So what happens if we do this? There's no way this is going to be faster. I'm going to guess 69.2. Now, you could argue that I could edit this down even further and not necessarily need to test as far. Just say one detour to the right side, and you would be correct. I could just put one chip on the right side, one chip on the one or shrink the size of this loop because most of it is demonstrably unimprovable. Wow, that was even slower. Alright, so now that I've got this top part done, can zap that. Go back to tile world. And we can, I just want to see what I did at the start. Okay, I went left first, that makes it easier. So what I want to do is I want to give this level another shot. Alright, that was a 2 move wait. It was not needed to be 2. But, you know, whatever works, right? Ding, 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 ding.
Bummer.
I am dumb sometimes. Okay, so what I just did there that's dumb is I'm actually going to go back to my other editor window and take a look at that. And here's what I did that was dumb. We're going to go back over to editor. So what I just did was I just tried to follow this path when this path has no monsters in it. Now, what's my thought process here? Well, I forgot to get a chip, so it doesn't matter what cycles I was getting there. Now, back to tile world. Cannot believe I got 209 with mistakes, though. Does that mean my initial approach was correct? Let's tab and see what I did there. Page down. So this is playback. Okay, I did go over here. I got 6 tips there, and I waited 2. I don't necessarily need to do all that, do I? I have to wait 6 whole moves there. Alright. So what I want to do is I want to experiment and see if I can get better cycles overall here. Because these cycles are the crux of how this level works when optimized. So was I supposed to do that? I don't think I was supposed to do that this way. I think I already blanked on what I routed earlier. Well, maybe I came up with something new. I don't know. And while I'm playing this part and it's kind of slow, I'm just going to say I'm really impressed with the design here. This is very creative. Alright. Have to go up. Barely time to slip through. Down here. And another 209.8. So I'm feeling like there's a better way to deal with the cycles than what I'm currently doing. Or if not the cycles, then the fireballs at the end. So unfortunately for me, I have the original solution. So I'm going to go replace. And we're going to play this out, and we're going to try and get something better. So I don't like what I did. Um, what happens if we go down here straight away? Bad things. What happens if we get this stuff straight away? That might actually get somewhere. So I don't necessarily need to deal with this left side immediately, but I feel like it's worth doing. We don't have to wait there.
Bummer.
We would have to wait there, however. We'd have to wait two, and then... I like that. I like how that feels. Like, a lot of what I do when I'm optimizing levels like this is go by feel. Yeah, that's two. It's another two. That feels slow, because there's another two. And
Bummer.
I don't have enough time to slip in there, which would be a 6, 10. So I'd have to wait a lot. Here's a thought. What if, what if I did the same, like, down here start, right? Because I can slip in here, get that. And what if I cut across the top? So we're essentially just reordering things a little smarter. Get this. Get these. Okay, I'm pausing to make sure I do this top part correctly, because I don't want to do this part wrong. Not after that test. I should have gone up last. So we've wasted 2 moves here. But I'm not too concerned with that, actually. I'm surprisingly unconcerned. I don't think this is going to be 211 because of that, but it should still come out to be a 209. Alright, no wait here. Good. Just cut through. Nice and fast. Maybe this will still be 211. Dang it, another 209.8. How does that keep coming out to that? This keeps coming out equivalent. So now you get to see me plug away at something where I found a couple different variations. So I can be 2 moves ahead coming out of this part. So I want to see exactly what that 2 moves would do for me. Oh, I'd immediately, just no questions asked, drop that 2 moves. So I have to wait 2, and then I take these in this order, and I don't have to wait for the fireballs anymore. But that's not fast enough, since I still come up here, still have to drop that 1, still have to come over here. So there's going to be a way to save, I think, an 8 move cycle. Looking at the fireballs, they are on a 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, 16. So the fireballs are on a 16 move cycle. So what this functionally means is what? How did I start this? This was an interesting start. One thing I haven't really tried, and I think I'm going to try that now, is what do I do if I want to start going over here? Oh, hello. Hello, Cycles. You're very nice. I should have put on replace. So up there still requires the same cycled weights as always. I'm beginning to think there's no way around those. I guess I'm going this way first. Fortunately, which direction I go here is completely irrelevant, as both directions are equivalent. It's just a little easier for me to remember the other path. Get you. Case in point, I've already screwed it up. I can save this. I can save this, I think. So the pause there was to come up with a reroute that does this. I don't think that's faster, but I think it puts me within striking range for a test. And what are we going to get? With all of that, another 209.8. I feel like I just found something. So what did I do? I do not actually remember what I did. All I know is that I found the cycle I was looking for on that bottom ball. I think what I did was this. No, no, that wasn't quite it. Was it this? See, this is the part of optimizing that can be annoying. When you
Bummer.
find something and you cannot remember what you found. Okay, no, I found it again. So I'm going to finish this one out no matter what I get. And it will replace my current 209 and perhaps be the 211 I'm chasing. Kudos to JB for finding that. I probably would have found a couple of 209s and just done what Shane did and called it optimal. I forgot I don't have the green key yet! I forgot I don't have the green key yet. That's such a stupid way to lose a move. Yeah, nobody's perfect. Everybody's prone to mistakes. The fact that I'm showing my entire process means you're seeing all of my mistakes. Trust me, everybody makes these. Even JB makes these. And I would not have had to wait. It'll equalize here, though. With going over the top, it does. That's a huge wait for those fireballs, though. No waiting there is nice. Wait, I found it? I'm not convinced that's optimal yet. So I've now gotten the bold, and now you get to see what happens when I find the bold and am looking for more. So I'd assume because it's JB, he probably already looked and saw some of this. I'm just glad that I found the bold at all on this video. Um, so what I want to do is cut out that mistake, which even though it got equalized, there's another possible path I could have taken. So the mistake's been cut out. I want to try another path, essentially. One of those equivalent routes that this time has... no, that should also get equalized. I'm still going to play this out and see and see if it's another way of getting to 11. But I think the key was the cycle on that lower ball that I initially identified as ideal. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up here, grab this, come down here, forced to wait 2, still have to wait there, still have to wait here. Can't go up there, forced to go this way, forced to wait 3, forced to wait 2, 1, and I think that's enough silliness in... Wait, did I seriously find 211 due to what I consider to be a mistake on my part? Okay, so let's see what I did here. And I want to try to identify why this was faster. Oh, that's why, because I can already have these chips. Or if I could be one move faster, you'd slip through there. Now you might be saying, but Jeffrey, can't you be one move faster if you leave the 2 moves faster if you leave this chip behind? You would be right, with a catch. If we were 2 moves ahead, so this is the leading fireball. Leading fireball's here when we move left, left. So we are now, instead of being 1 move ahead, we'd be 3 ahead of the leading fireball. But when we get here, we'd be in the same position we are currently. So it wouldn't actually come out ahead. Interestingly enough, how big of a detour is that chip a little later on? So how big of a detour is this chip? Because we pass by here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is an 18 move detour. It could adjust to be more than that. So if we cut back a little farther, so if we take that 18 move detour, which I believe we would do without having to wait at all for the ball, then the fireballs would be 2 moves farther ahead of where they currently are. I.e., we'd have a fireball here, and we'd be dead. Therefore, now I'm convinced 211 is optimal. Very nice route, JB, if that is in fact what you came up with. So as per usual, let's just play it back in its entirety. So the opening moves are not picked to pick up these chips optimally, but they are picked to waste a certain amount of moves to get a good ball cycle. And you get a lot of good ball cycles with, say, the blue key and that lower ball. So the big thing I did wrong in terms of a red herring at the start was I tried to target the blue key immediately. That was a mistake. The blue key after the lower chip. I should have realized I could go in the opposite order. So as shown there, you don't have to be completely perfect for a lot of bold routes. I lost 1 move, but due to the way this level and these fireballs and such work, it all gets equalized out at the end. So as also shown, sometimes it's better to do attempts in the actual level, for example, with all those lower cycles. Building a level that has the cycles exactly as they are would not be very fun, even though Andrew was kind, and every ball is on an 8-move cycle, and the fireballs are on 16, which is a nice, easy multiple. That all being said, though, sorry, I completely blanked on what I was gonna say. That lower section was definitely better to test in level, while the upper section was definitely better for me to test out of level and find a couple interesting approaches to it. And in fact, one of my failed approaches to the top gave me a correct approach for the bottom. So, very, very fun level to optimize, Andrew. Very nice route, JB. And yeah, I think that's it for Encased in Carbonite. Later.